Good morning, everyone. It is Tuesday, April the 14th, 2020. It is currently 9:52 a.m. Central Time, and I am about to talk about something that I don't want to talk about. I'm about to talk about something that I don't want to talk about. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to address it. I don't even want to acknowledge its existence. However, I have to. And the reason I have to, even though this is the Theology Central podcast, where my focus here is obviously on theology, I have to sometimes address things. Well, I guess in one way this is connected to theology because I have to address something, unfortunately, that is showing up obviously within the Christian world. It is showing up on Christian radio. It is showing up on articles put out by Christians, Christians on social media. It's showing up in the Christian world. And so I have to turn on the mic and I have to, in a sense, be the person everyone's going to get mad at. I'm going to be the person that everyone's going to get upset with. I'm going to be the person who's going to be attacked, but someone has to stand up and go, hey, Christians, enough of the nonsense. Stop falling for it. Stop participating in it. Now, I know you're thinking, well, what are you talking about? Well, if you've seen the title for this particular episode, for this live stream, then you know exactly what I'm going to be talking about. Yes, we're going to be talking about COVID-19. And we're going to be talking about conspiracy theories related to COVID-19. And the reason we're going to do this is because over and over and over again, when I get in my car to drive here to Victory Baptist Church, which is about a 20-minute drive from Abilene, Texas, I turn on Christian radio, and over and over and over again, when Christian radio is on, I hear a narrative about the COVID-19 pandemic that is spread around the world, that is continuing to kill people. I keep hearing this kind of narrative that's kind of like, well, you know, it's not really that serious. This is more serious. Or they start throwing in all kinds of conspiratorial ideas. They either explicitly state them or they imply. And the bottom line is they're basically saying, they're basically questioning or telling you to question or not to believe all of the reports that you're getting, not to believe the official narrative that you are hearing, that basically something else is going on. This didn't just, this virus didn't just, naturally occur. Basically, they imply someone created it. Typically, they say someone created it in a Chinese laboratory. They will somehow imply that this was either let out, on purpose because it's an election year and this was done to try to destroy President Trump you can go on and on. Some argued that 5G is responsible for this. And so there have been people who've tried to burn down 5G towers because they believe that's the cause of the virus. There's just so much spreading, but you are hearing a lot of these ideas. And again, sometimes it's not explicit. It's just kind of implied like, hey, we don't really believe that now, do we? And in many cases, no evidence is given to support their theory or to support their claim or to support their implication. They just call in to question the official account, the official narrative, throw out or hint at some different narrative without offering any true support or evidence to back it up. And what does this cause? This causes people to begin to question, to begin to doubt, to not believe the reports they're getting, or to believe that it's not that serious, or to go so far as to say the whole thing's a hoax. I mean, I've seen it all. I mean, we could sit here and spend 3 hours talking about every theory, every idea that is going around, but it is impossible to keep up with. But the information, the false information, is spreading quickly, and it's starting to become a major problem. In fact, I think this is very important. So let's do this. All right. Before we really move on, let me just lay some kind of foundational principles so that you know where I'm coming from to try to help people from attacking me. So this is where I am coming from. I want you to listen to me carefully. First, my goal here is to speak primarily to Christians, to speak to pastors, to Christians, to churches, to ministries. And I want to speak to them and remind Christians that we have a very important standard that we are to maintain. We are to put away lying. We are to speak the truth. We are to speak the truth. We are not to bear false witness. We are not to engage in slander and gossip and misrepresentation. We are not to do that. And we're not to engage in wild-eyed theories that could cause people to believe our wild-eyed theories and then put their lives at risk or put the lives of others at risk. We're dealing with a pandemic. And unless you've got absolute information that you can 100% prove to everyone that the pandemic is not real, then you have a responsibility to encourage people to do what is best to help preserve life. As Christians, we claim that life is sacred. We supposedly believe in the sanctity of human life. Well, if that is a fundamental doctrine of Christianity, that people are created in the image of God, therefore life has value, then the last thing you want to do is to, pass the time, engage in some, interesting hobby, throw out every known conspiracy theory. You can get people then to begin to engage in behavior that could put other people's lives at risk or put their own lives at risk. And you are supposed to care about human life above everything else. Your desire to engage in wild-eyed speculation is one thing, but when you do it publicly, when you do it on Christian radio, when you do it on and articles and all over social media, then you're putting other lives at risk. You can't do that. Okay, as a Christian, you have a responsibility that even in private, you may be going, I don't really know about this and I don't know about this. You've got to be very careful that you don't start, putting forth ideas that could convince people to go, you know what, this whole thing is a hoax, whole thing's overblown. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to go about my life. Next thing you know, that individual contracts the virus and then they die, or they infect other people and they die. Then that blood is on your hands. You can't do that. We just had a pastor in Virginia who had been flaunting, we're going to have services. Look at how many people we have here. Well, he just died. Well, okay, everyone's like, well, he could have died from this. I've seen all the Christian responses to it, basically trying to excuse it away. But the issue is not that just he died. What if he infected other people? We have to think about this. So here's the three things. Truth, or we'll go through it this way. Number one, put away lying, put away false information. Number two, tell the truth. Number three, do not bear false witness. Do not bear false witness against anyone. Number four, do not engage in slander. Number five, value human life. I mean, I'm just going with the basic Christian principles. Like this is not an argument about how to interpret the Bible. This is not some theological argument. These are just basic principles. Don't lie. Speak the truth. Don't bear false witness. I mean, that's pretty basic stuff, right? Value human life. That's pretty basic stuff. Don't slander. I mean, these are basic concepts. I'm not asking for some high, grand standard of morality. I'm just saying as Christians, we have to engage this topic from a biblical perspective. And a biblical perspective would say, don't lie, speak the truth, don't bear false witness, don't slander, and value human life. I mean, those are... I don't even know how that's controversial, but trust me, when you see my email here in a few hours, all of a sudden I'm going to be, that I'm a part of some grand conspiracy and that I'm trying to cover up everything. And that's not the case. I'm trying to challenge us to think of it from a biblical perspective. So that's my message to Christians. Now, to non-Christians, I don't expect them to follow a biblical morality. I don't expect them to think biblically. I expect the world to have some whacked out way of thinking. Sometimes, though, what is bizarre, it's the Christians who have the whacked out way of thinking, and it's the lost people who seem to have some level of reason and logic and being rational, and that is just bizarre to me. It should be Christians who no, we've got a biblical mandate here. Truth, value human life. Don't bear false witness. Don't misrepresent. Don't slander. I mean, we've got a biblical morality telling us how to act and to think, but we just throw that out sometimes in the midst of certain situations, and then chaos ensues. So I want to make this very clear. I'm speaking to Christians first. To non-Christians, you're not going to follow what the Bible has to say, so you're just going to do things your own way. So we're speaking to Christians. I think this is very important. Now, I want to say another thing. When it comes to conspiracy theories, when it comes to alternative ideas and alternative views from the normal narrative, I am all for, make this very clear, I'm all for questioning the official narrative. I'm all for questioning news reports and information from official sources. I'm all for questioning it. I'm all for trying to determine if their information was accurate, if their information was correct. Are they misrepresenting? Are they, quote unquote, giving us fake news? I'm all for that. But here's the thing. Questioning the official narrative is one thing. But if I'm going to question it, I have to then go find verifiable facts that clearly demonstrates that the official story that I've just heard is 100% wrong. And then I have to provide those verifiable facts and give people the source of those facts so that they can go look them up for themselves. It's one thing to sit there and go, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I believe that's all garbage. I don't believe it. I don't believe the official report. I think this is all lies. That's one thing. Okay. But that is of no value to anyone. You've got to back it up going, okay, I've spent 2 hours of research. Here is the information I have that shows you that report is false. That report is false. That report is false. Here is my information. Here are my sources. You can go verify and see if my sources are accurate. Now listen, if you're spouting forth a conspiracy theory and you cite as your proof that your conspiracy theory is true, a website that is known for conspiracy theories, then you're literally citing a source that is just simply confirms what you already think. That's not research. You've got to make sure you're going to official documents, official sources. You can't just go, oh, here's this whacked out conspiracy theory website. They agree with my whacked out conspiracy theory website. And if you need proof that my whacked out conspiracy theory is true, just check out this whacked out conspiracy theory website that says that I am right. Well, hello. Okay. That's how things happened with Sandy Hook. All right. Hey, there was this mass shooting. Nope. All lie. Didn't happen. Completely a lie, did not occur, all fake. How do you know it's fake? Well, see, this website here says it's fake. And because that website says it's fake, then my belief that it's fake is confirmed. No, you went to a whacked out site that made the claim. How about the millions of other pieces of evidence saying, no, actually people died there. Actually, no, there was real children died and real families have been torn apart. And your conspiracy theories is hurting people. But no, we're not going to go, because then you bring any information that doesn't come from a whacked out conspiracy site, then you're told that information is part of the conspiracy. And so you never can get anywhere. I'm all for questioning. I'm all for it. I mean, I question the authority. I love questions, but I've got to feel, once I begin to question the official story, I've got to then fill in the void that I left by trying to destroy the official narrative with facts, and with more facts. And I got to turn off my notifications. Give me 1 second. It'll just take a second here. This happens sometimes. I always forget. Just take 1 second. There we go. All right. On my laptop that I'm using, I have notifications for my Slack chat channel, and it'll start messing up the recording, and I don't want that to occur. So let's go through those again. For Christians, we have a certain standard we are to maintain, right? Truth, put away lying. Truth, don't bear false witness. Do not slander. Okay, and to ensure that we value human life above everything else. These are some basic concepts. The world, I don't expect the world to think that way. The world it does not have the Bible to supposedly shape their thinking. They're going to think any way they want. So I expect the world to think crazy, right? Sadly, it's the Christians who think crazy. I don't get it, but it's just bizarre, right? And there's a lot more I could say there, but I'm trying to build a case here so that we can move forward, right? And second, I'm all for questioning the official narrative. I'm all for it. Question all day. Now, there's a time and place to question. There's a time and place to question amongst a few people, and you're having a private conversation, and you're not putting out some crazy theory out there that could possibly hurt other people. And you're like, okay, we're all three rational people. Yeah, here's my questions about it. Here's the information I found. That there's a time and place and when to discuss your crazy theories. Throwing it all over social media, not probably a good idea. Throwing out articles and podcasts and blog articles that just go after everything without any facts, that's dangerous. But I want to make sure I stress this. Once you question the official account, whatever it may be, whatever authority you are questioning, you have to back up after you've asked the questions, facts, verifiable, sources, documentation. You've got to once you question it, it's on your shoulders to back up the reason you're questioning it. And you can't just throw out some, weak evidence, just circumstantial. Well, look, and this is what conspiracy thinking always does. We see that part right there. That doesn't make sense. Okay, just because it doesn't make sense doesn't mean your conspiracy theory is true. Just means we have an anomaly here, something that doesn't make sense. Doesn't mean now the entire conspiracy theory comes in to fill in that little, hey, here's this little anomaly. I don't have any actual positive proof. I just have the question, look, that doesn't really make sense. Now, boom, here's the theory. No, it doesn't work that way. You have the anomaly, now, but you still have to have facts to back up your theory. You still have to have facts to support it. And this nonsense, I'm telling you, it continues to spread, and it's spreading through Christianity. So that's why, unfortunately, I have to be the one to turn on the mic and talk about this today. Give you an idea. Here's an article that I thought was interesting. I found just a few minutes ago. It was posted 19 hours ago. I found it a few minutes ago. Here's the headline: Fighting Fake News. The new front and the coronavirus battle. All right, so fighting fake news has now become the new front and the coronavirus battle. We've got a pandemic, but right now what we have to do is we have to fight fake news, false information. That's the major headline, and then underneath it we have this: bogus stories and half-baked conspiracy theories are surging through the internet. So we've got bogus stories, half-baked conspiracy theories surging through the internet. Now, again, surging through the internet and the lost world, I don't expect them. They don't even believe in absolute truth. They reject absolute truth. They don't even believe truth exists. They believe your truth, my truth, it's all the same. I expect craziness. But when it slides over into the Christian world, that's when Christian podcasters have to say, hey guys, stop. We are not to act like the world. We're not to think like the world. We have the Bible that gives us a way, that gives us an example and outlines the way we are to think. It tells us what biblical thinking is. We're to take every thought captive. We are to be focused on truth, not misrepresenting, not bearing false witness, not slandering. We have a way of thinking, valuing human life. So it's the fact that this information is spreading across the internet is not a shock, because the world doesn't believe in truth. But when it comes into the Christian world, that's when I get upset. That's when I get bothered. And the church has to stop it. And here's the thing: pastors won't stand behind pulpits and address this kind of thing. They won't, because they'll either say, well, the pulpit's not the place to address it. Well, where is the place to address it? Where? Isn't your church understanding the importance of truth, of not lying, of not sharing false information, of valuing human life? The pulpit's not the place to emphasize that. It is, but it's not. Now, here's what this story says. Let me go back to it again. Bogus stories and half-baked conspiracy theories are surging through the internet. The theories have spread almost as fast as the new coronavirus. Statements like children are immune, 5G caused the pandemic. I mean, I could go on and on and on. From the seemingly plausible to the predictably untrue, fake news about COVID-19, the disease caused by the virus, is flooding the internet as we scramble to make sense of a crisis that has wrought havoc around the world. Unchecked, this so-called infodemic, all right, you got a pandemic. Here's an infodemic, all right. We've got the spread of, we got an issue with information spreading. So unchecked, this problem threatens to hamper the world's collective best efforts to curtail the coronavirus, which has killed more than 115,000 people in a little more than 100 days since news of its emergence in Wuhan, China, consumed the world's media. Were we to view this pandemic as a conflict, then we could talk about two fronts. Carl Miller, research of the Center of the Analysis of Social Media at the United Kingdom-based think tank, told the media. So he said, if we were to look at this as a war, as a conflict, there would be two fronts. The first is the public health reaction, and the second are the waves of social and political chaos that have been caused by the virus and our response to it. This is a key battle on that front. All right. The next heading, so much misinformation. While millions of us remain cooped up in our homes under strict lockdown laws, on WhatsApp, Facebook, YouTube, and elsewhere, a range of bogus stories and half-baked conspiracy theories concerning COVID-19 have gained considerable global momentum. And the UK alone, nearly half of all adults have been exposed to false claims or misleading information online about the virus, according to research published last week by the country's media watchdog. I think it's called Ofcom, OFCOM. Someone lives in the UK, they can correct me. Some 35% have seen claims that drinking more water can help flush out the disease, for example, while around a quarter have seen advice suggesting the infection can be treated by gargling salt water, both of which have been rubbish by the World Health Organization and contradicts UK public health guidelines. So there's these weird ideas on how to take care of it or how to get rid of the virus. Now, again, here's the problem. The minute you say, well, the World Health Organization doesn't acknowledge that, or they say it's not true, this is what you'll hear. You can't trust the World Health Organization. They're controlled by China. Now, we heard the other day when I spent some considerable time on this issue, I played a clip from Christian radio where they said the World Health Organization always cozies up to countries who give them the most money, right? Then they say, well, wait, America gives them more money, but in this particular case, they're cozying up to China and they're in China's back pocket, and the World Health Organization is the mouthpiece for China. So on one hand, they state something that this situation really disproves, because it's clear that America gives more money to the World Health Organization than China by a large amount. And they say that's what the World Health Organization does. They cozy up to whoever gives them most money. So then they cite information that really contradicts everything they're about to say, but then they go ahead and just go right along with their theory. You can't trust the World Health Organization. They're owned by China. Well, you just stated that they cozy up to whoever gives them most money, and you gave the fact that America gives them more money. So which is it? But that was on Christian radio, causing people to question, don't trust the World Health Organization. Don't trust it. So when you have some situation where you have this information going around that, hey, here are the solutions, drink water, it will flush it out, do some gargling of salt water, and the World Health Organization says, don't believe that, people say, I don't trust the World Health Organization. I trust so-and-so on YouTube. That's who I trust. That's how this problem continues to spread. Again, Christians should be the one going, wait a minute, stop here, because you value human life. You say, wait, no, you need to get some correct medical information, because I don't want you to die. I don't want you to think you're treating your problem and then you ultimately dying. Let me help you out. Let's get you some good information. Christians have to be a part of this information war, okay? Info wars, okay, yeah. We're going to be talking about Alex Jones in a minute. But yeah, there is a war on information. It is an information war, and Christians have to be a part of that, saying, let us give you truth. Among those who have personally witnessed the pernicious advance of misinformation is a business owner in London, itself the epicenter of Britain's coronavirus caseload. For weeks, he had seen fake news spread freely on WhatsApp and Facebook. Towards the end of March, he said up to 25 videos a day spouting mistruths were being shared across a handful of the online groups of friends and relatives, all the while COVID-19 tightens its grip on parts of Western Europe. Despite his best efforts to rebut the claims, everybody was just sharing the stuff left and right and center. He said, including content that purportedly proved coronavirus was man-made or caused by the rollout of 5G mobile technology. It was frightening and frustrating because you know this information is false, but the people who are sharing it have the confidence that this will help or save humanity. And other people pick up on that. I'm very worried that there is so much misinformation going around. Yeah, that's what you see. Just false information, false information, false information. Again, I'm going to state that Christians, you have a moral responsibility. You have a biblical responsibility to correct the falsehood. This is a part of your Christianity. You're supposed to be light. You're supposed to be salt. You're supposed to go, hey, no. Slow down. You may want to, and you don't have to put the person on full blast in public. You can message them in private and go, wait, what are you doing? False information. And I know what typically happens. The people get mad at you and they're going to block you, but who cares? Who cares? And when people whine that, it's a family member, it's a friend, who cares? Truth is what you should care about. According to the Ofcom, that's the name of the organization, Ofcom survey, which was based on a weekly poll undertaken by around 2,000 people, some 40% of adults in the UK are finding it hard to know what is true or false about the virus. So now you have a large portion of populations, they don't know what is true. They don't know what is true or what is false. Let me tell you, in the middle of a pandemic, the last thing you want is large parts of the population not knowing what is true or what is false. Therefore, you have a moral responsibility to help them find out what is true or false. Professional fact checkers said the widespread confusion partly stemmed from the overwhelming amount of available content online concerning COVID-19, which has had an impact on every continent except Antarctica. Every country in the world is talking about this. Claire Milne, deputy editor at UK-based fact-checking charity Full Fact, told Al Jazeera. And so a large number of false claims are starting off in one place and then being translated into lots of different languages and moving from platform to platform and spreading from country to country. Full Fact has so far debunked a slew of incorrect stories and claims, and it expects more to emerge. Among some of the more notable stories to be disproved were reports shared on Facebook suggesting Russia had unleashed 500 lions to prevent people from going outdoors, and Twitter posts claiming UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson, who recently spent several days in a hospital after contracting coronavirus, was dead. Above all others, this person said one particular thread of misinformation that has been especially prominent online in recent weeks is the theory linking the pandemic to 5G mobile technology. Anti-5G conspiracy theories are not new. For decades, every successive generation of mobile phone technology has attracted baseless claims about supposed associated health risk. But at the beginning of the year, a Belgian doctor breathed new life into the claims when he claimed there was a possible link between 5G and coronavirus. The comments went public in January in an article published online and later deleted by a Belgian, I can speak right this morning, Belgian news website. Within weeks, his words had been seized on by the anti-5G movement, which in turn sent conspiracy theories racing through the internet. So let's make sure we go through this again. So at the beginning of the year, a Belgian doctor breathed life into the claims when he claimed that there was a possible link between 5G and coronavirus. His comments went public in January in an article published online, later deleted by a Belgian news website. Within weeks, his words had been seized by the anti-5G movement, and then in turn sent conspiracy theories racing through the internet. They said the scale of this misinformation crisis is unlike anything they have seen before. All right. They have a quote here. My very strong sense is that this completely blows anything out of the water that we have seen before, just in terms of sheer volume across social media. We are seeing the emergence of the meta conspiracy theory, he said, citing the congealing together a set of right-wing conspiracy theories and the 9/11 truther, as well as pre-coronavirus and anti-5G movements, among others. So you're having all of these different conspiracy theory groups basically coming together to agree on these particular subjects and to push forth, continue to push forth all kinds of conspiracy theories in regards to this. On YouTube, the most popular 5G coronavirus conspiracy videos posted in March were viewed millions of times. Meanwhile, content linking the pandemic to mobile technology continues to spread on Twitter and Facebook. Still active today, still these pages are active today and are filled with misinformation of the same sort. They said the Full Fact group had identified 3 broad strands around which the 5G theory appears to be coming together. One stating it's weakening people's immune systems, another claiming the pandemic had been invented to cover up the health impact of the rollout of mobile technology, and a third suggesting 5G was accelerating the spread of the virus. There is no evidence for any of these, claiming the end of this article. Now, they go on. And they go through all of these things. I mean, I could read and read and read forever, but here's the bottom line. The misinformation is spreading fast. It is spreading faster and faster. And yes, this is what happens. You'll have one doctor who may say something, or someone says something, then immediately that information gets deleted, or the person is disproven as being crazy, but it doesn't matter. I mean, you can even have the same doctor come back later and say, I was wrong on the information. Doesn't matter. The original claim is what everyone grabs onto, and then that original claim is passed all over the internet, and everyone's like, hey, we've got medical proof that 5G is causing this. And of course, you got different streams of the 5G conspiracy. But I'm not here to just speak on the 5G issue. I'm here to speak on conspiracy theories in general. Conspiracy theories in general have to be, something the world does, not something the church does. That's the point I want to get. The world doing it is okay. They don't believe in truth. They don't believe in absolute transcendent truth. They typically fall into some kind of relativistic mindset when it comes to truth, your truth, my truth. And no, Christians should be the one going, no, we believe in truth. We believe lying is wrong. We believe false information is wrong. We believe bearing false witness is wrong. We believe slandering is wrong. We value human life. We don't want to give any information that could put people's lives at risk. We would be the one that's crazy about this stuff. But no, it's in the church. Now, that article is dealing about it in the world. Okay, that's spreading all around the world. More information, more false information, more false information. They are focusing on one conspiracy, the 5G one, but there's so many of them. I could literally make a podcast that would just be dedicated to COVID-19 conspiracy theories, and then spend multiple hours a day looking at that, going from source to source to source, trying to verify, disprove. And here's the key. This is very important. Typically with conspiracy theories, you can never ultimately disprove them because they just throw out the claim and they will focus on something that it's almost impossible. Sometimes they'll make such a wild claim that it's almost impossible to disprove it. But they never support positive proof for it. What they simply do is say, well, what about this and what about this and what about that? And you're like, yeah, those are anomalies, or I can't answer that. But that doesn't prove your conspiracy theory, right? That just proves that there's some things that don't make sense. Well, guess what? In a time of any crazy situation, there's going to be things that don't make sense. There's going to be anomalies. The real world, everything doesn't always work out perfectly. So they grab onto an anomaly and then think that supports the theory. No, that supports that there was an anomaly. Your theory requires positive proof. And this is a problem. And again, conspiratorial thinking is circular reasoning. My conspiracy theory is right. Here's some anomalies. and I come to you and go, no, here's these fact-checking groups. They've come back to say that this information is false. You can't trust the fact-checking groups. They're a part of the conspiracy, or they're, owned by this person, or they'll have some reason why you can't trust the fact-checking organizations. So then at that point, there's no way to disprove it. So this is why Christians have to avoid getting into this stuff, because you spend your life doing this. You should be focused on being salt, being light, the gospel, the scriptures, your spiritual life, helping people, ministering to people, witnessing to people. That's where your life should be focused as a Christian. Trafficking in this world is not glorifying to God. It may be entertaining, and please, if you need a little bit of entertainment, then that's fine. Sit at home and look at all the conspiracy theories. But don't be the one out there spreading it and wasting your time publicly focused on these things when you need to be giving people the truth of Christianity. That's where you need to be. But this is an ongoing problem. All right, so we've spent how long now? 35 minutes, and I could go article after article. Here's just really quick. Let me go to this one. There's another one here. Yes. This was posted 20 hours ago. Nearly 30% in the United States believe a coronavirus theory that's almost certainly not true. Let me look at this. I mean, there's just so many articles here. Despite evidence from the infectious disease experts suggesting otherwise, nearly 30% of Americans in a new Pew poll said they believe the novel coronavirus was likely created in a lab. The latest poll from the public opinion fact tank shows that misinformation around the virus is still king, even as the fact checkers and public health officials work furiously to dispel it and save American lives. A total of 23% of adults polled said they believe the virus was created intentionally. This is almost certainly not true, according to the genetic detectives studying the virus's origins. And 43%, a plurality, but not an overwhelming majority, said the virus likely came about naturally. This is more likely the truth, according to virus experts. So you've got, nearly 30% of Americans claiming, hey, this was created intentionally in a lab. This was done on purpose. Even though the people who actually are studying the genetic makeup of the virus, they say otherwise. But hey, you can't trust them, right? You can't trust them. Who do you trust? Who do you listen to? Where do you get your information from? Now, I agree that there has been so much discussion about fake news. Now this is where I think now we need to make this point. Part of the problem with all of this lies at the doorstep of Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, and NBC. All major news outlets, because you have become so politically, ideologically driven, so partisan that people don't trust you. And because once people stop trusting mainstream media, then where do they turn to get their information? They turn to their favorite podcaster. They turn to a YouTube video channel. They turn to a blog. They turn all over they turn to friends and families. They turn to social media to get their information. The news media needs to look in the mirror and go, wait a minute, what can we do so that we can get back to being respected as being a source of accurate information? Well, get rid of all of the nonsense of Fox News. Get rid of all the nonsense programs, Sean Hannity and all of those things that are so politically, ideologically driven, where they come from one political viewpoint. Get rid of all of that. Get rid of trying to bring in 4 people from 4 different opinions so that they yell and scream at each other. Stop trying to be entertainment and try to be news. Try to just give information, correct information, raise questions, then investigate to determine if these questions are true or false. If there's a conspiracy theory, have an entire hour program on the conspiracy theory, looking at all the claims, looking at all the sources the claims are are offering up, and then you go verify or disprove it right there on the air. You have millions of dollars, you have producers, you have teams of reporters. You can do that. It can't be a little nobody podcaster going, hey guys, we better stop with this conspiracy theory things. No, the news media needs to be a part of the solution. But nobody trusts the news media because all they do is if they support one side, then they write the news to go after one side in almost a biased way. And now people no longer trust it. You don't trust it. So what you do is if you say you're Republican conservative leaning, you're gonna probably go support Fox News, and if you're liberal, you're gonna go support MSNBC or CNN. Well, that shouldn't be the way it is. You should want news, not political leaning bias. That should not be the way it is. But the news media is now seen as suspect. People are now skeptical of what the news media says. So the news media can be out there going, hey, these claims aren't true. And everybody's like, I don't believe them. I don't believe them. They're covering it up. I don't believe them. They hate Trump. They want Trump to look bad. I don't believe. And in some cases, it appears that that's exactly what they're doing. The news media is to blame for all of this. But here's the thing. We can blame the news media. But guess what? You and I have a responsibility, and that responsibility is to find truth, defend truth, expose lies, and help other people find truth. Now, ultimately, we want people to find the truth about the scriptures. But listen, Christians, if people can't even trust us about information pertaining to medicine, it doesn't matter what the subject is, medicine, pandemic, and you're out there spewing forth crazy theories, then why would they believe you about the scriptures? They can't believe you about basic information, then why believe you about the scriptures? That's why for Christians, nothing good comes with being on social media spewing forth crazy theories, because now you're just seen as a crackpot who can't be trusted. Well, now you want to tell them about God and tell them about Jesus and tell them about the Bible. You're already proven to be nuts. Don't be that person. I've seen Christian ministries start spewing forth all kinds of crazy ideas about this whole thing. You're not winning. You're only hurting yourself, because once people are like, look, if you're going to go spew those kind of theories, I don't want to listen to anything you have to say. Christian ministries don't do that. Christian radio, stop doing that. Stop doing that. I cannot stress it enough. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to end all of this discussion. And I've got news article after news article after news article about this. This is not, I want you to understand, this is not in any way, shape, or form some weird anomaly that I'm talking about. This is spreading everywhere. The internet is filled with articles about this war on information right now. All right. Now, I'll say one other thing. This is very important. And this will tie into what I'm getting ready to do. I am not one to believe that people on the internet spewing forth conspiracy theories should be shut down or silenced. I'm not a fan of that. I am not a fan of that, okay? For example, Alex Jones. And the reason I'm going to mention him is because we're getting ready to listen to him, because I want you to hear what he's been doing over the last 2 days, because it sounds very much what's happening on Christian radio. And this is the problem, okay? So, but here, let's make it very clear. Alex Jones was involved in spewing forth a lot of craziness about Sandy Hook, about the mass shooting. A lot of craziness, okay? And I've listened to Alex Jones for years, okay? I don't agree with him, but I listened to him because I just started discovering how influential he was in some groups of Christians. And I'm like, why are so many Christians sounding like Alex Jones? Because they listen to Alex Jones. And I'm like, well, it's one thing to listen. It's another thing to just buy into everything. I listen because I want to keep up with what's being said. All right. And obviously, Alex Jones is not always wrong. Obviously, no one can be always wrong. So sometimes he's on to an idea before other people are, which is always interesting when he is right. But he was out there spewing forth all kinds of craziness about Sandy Hook and a lot of other issues. He was even warned internally by people with InfoWars to say, hey, you got to stop this. This is not going to be good. Well, now he's being sued. They want to wipe him off the face of planet Earth because of his conspiracy theories. They want him basically finished. And as a result of the lawsuits and everything else going on, here's what's happened. And this is very important. Because of the conspiracy theories, because of everything, because of the conspiracy theories, because of the lawsuits, well, between all the media platforms basically decided it's time to remove Alex Jones. And he got banned. His app got removed from the app stores, from the Apple App Store, from the Google App Store. He got removed from YouTube. He got removed from Instagram. I don't even know. He got removed from everything. I mean, it's like they just like wiped him. He got removed from Facebook. He just got wiped off the face of the earth. Boom, gone. Now you can still go to his website. You can still subscribe to his podcast. Sometimes weird things happen where I can't find the podcast when I search for it. So it's like they've almost tried to just remove him. Now, let me make it very clear. I believe the things he said about Sandy Hook was irresponsible, was crazy. And way back then, I was recording podcasts condemning it and telling Christians to stop the nonsense, okay? And I was getting very upset with Christians who kept spreading the false information. But listen to me carefully. As much as I disagree with what he said, as much as I disagree with what he did, I don't want him to be silenced. What I love is the ability to speak freely. I do love that ability. Now, I do know that obviously if you don't own the platform, if you don't own YouTube, if you don't own Facebook, then guess what? They can make rules about what content they have on their platforms or don't have on their platforms. Now, this becomes a big issue. Are they a publisher or are they just a platform? If they're a platform, then they really have to pretty much allow everything as long as it doesn't violate any standards that you agreed to when you signed up to be on the platform. If they are a publisher, they can have more control. Well, most of them don't want to be a publisher. They just want to be a platform. So this becomes iffy right here. So if you are on a platform, you got to follow the rules. If the rules say you can't do this, then this, then you've got to follow those rules. And if you don't like the rules, then you've got to go create your own platform. All right. So that's very important. I just don't like the silencing of any voice. I don't care how abhorrent I find the voice. I don't care how crazy I find the voice. I don't care if it's a voice out there, mocking Christianity and calling it every name in the book. I want them to have freedom to speak. And guess what I want? I want freedom to speak. So it makes me nervous when big tech companies are like, nope, these voices we're going to silence. These voices we're going to allow. Oh, that can create a situation where any dissenting voice is silenced. That is scary. Hey, we believe in homosexuality and that gender is fluid and all of the typical things happening in our society. Well, I don't, and I'm going to speak out against homosexuality. I'm going to speak out against this gender being fluid, and we're going to get into this, and then next thing you know, you're getting deleted from that platform. That's scary. That's scary. So when Alex Jones kind of started being silenced, I was like, hey, wait a minute. You may hate Alex Jones. You may hate him, but if they can do it to Alex, they can come for you. And then the next thing you know, you start hearing about certain Christians getting in trouble on YouTube, or their videos being removed, or this group being banned, or this person being banned. And you start like, wait a minute, this looks like an ideological thing. And so then you start like, this is not fair. This is not right. And I want to make it very clear that I may disagree with all kinds of people spewing forth conspiracy theories. I do want them to have the freedom to speak. I do. The responsibility, if they are a Christian, they have a responsibility to speak truth. If they're not a Christian, they can spout forth any theory they want. Christians have a biblical responsibility to speak truth. So here's the thing. If you live in the world, you have to realize there's going to be people out there who spew forth misinformation. That's been true as long as human beings have been on the planet. You, as a Christian, you have a responsibility. All people have a responsibility to try to determine what they're hearing is true, verify what is true. And as Christians, you have a responsibility to expose what is not true and then to clarify it and speak the truth. Christians have a moral responsibility in this. Non-Christians don't. So I just want to make it clear that, hey, I may disagree with Alex. I may disagree with a lot of these conspiracy theories. I don't want people banned and silenced. That's not a good thing. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to listen to Alex. We're going to go to two programs. We're going to go to Sunday night and we're going to go to Monday. Sunday night, we're going to listen to just the first part of the first hour. And then we're going to listen to Monday, just the first part of the first hour, because Alex he's been talking about the COVID-19 coronavirus since early January, maybe even December. He's been on top of this, and he was saying it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. He was way ahead of a lot of people as far as talking about this and that this is going to be bad. He is not saying that COVID-19 is a hoax. He doesn't believe it's a hoax. He believes it was created in a lab and it's being used to take away our civil liberties, and that it's going to be, and a lot of other conspiracy theories that you're hearing, sadly on Christian radio and even from pulpits in churches. So I think, Alex still remains very influential, I think, within the Christian world. So it's important for us to hear what he has to say. So we'll listen to some of it. We may address some of it. I'm going to try to move quickly through this. And now, please note, this is Alex Jones. Now, if you don't know Alex Jones, this is the way it works. 1 second, he's talking about Jesus, God, Satan, a fight against evil. And then in the next minute, he's throwing out a stream of obscenities. I think in one of these clips, there's at least one obscenity, I think, and I don't have the ability to hit the beep sound. I don't have that. So I apologize. If you're going to be offended, then you can go ahead and stop now. But you need to hear what he has to say. You really do, because you're going to hear a lot of what he is saying in these clips. You may have already heard it from your Christian friends, maybe even from your church or on Christian radio. And that's why it blows my mind when Christian radio starts sounding like the Alex Jones show. That is concerning. So here we go. We're going to start with Sunday night, and I'll be interrupting, periodically through this. Here we go.
Live from Austin, Texas, broadcasting worldwide, it's Alex Jones.
Here we are, my friends, live on this Easter transmission. I want to thank the crew for being here and doing a great job on this very important day for those of us that believe in our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Wouldn't be here, wouldn't be alive, wouldn't be able to do what we do without Christ and his sacrifice. That's what we build our fortress upon. Well, here we are on this Sunday edition, and I say this a lot. I didn't say this a lot 25 years ago, 20 years ago, even 10 years ago, but I say it a couple times a week now, and it's absolutely true, that every show gets more intense and just more insane, and what's happening becomes more surreal by the moment. And if you're paying attention, April 12th, 2020 is more science fiction-y, more dystopic, more out of control, more Big Brother on steroids than the type of news you'd see in a year before. Stuff going on in one day is like a year of tyranny condensed down. And it gets more and more intense. And I've said this 1,000 times. I've got all these clips, all this news, all this incredible stuff to cover. But I'm going to explain something here that's more critical than all the news. When Hitler was lining up on the border with Poland and building his armies and getting the troops and doing surveillance, the Poles were like, we're about to be invaded. And they said, you're conspiracy theorists. Doesn't matter, they're massing troops. Well, finally, when the Germans attacked, people didn't deny that the Poles were right. Didn't matter by then. They were defeated. They'd have been dug in and ready, and if folks had listened to their military, they would have been able to put up a bigger fight. It's the same story over and over again. How did Hitler invade Poland? Operation Himmler. A subgroup of that was Operation Gleiwitz. They blew up their own military bases and radio stations, had Jewish prisoners they dressed up in Polish and German uniforms so that it'd be real, shot them, and then laid them out for the newsreels they had ready to be run back and aired on the theaters and the audio over radio. But the Germans had big free movie theaters on every street that the Nazis did, and people would run in for free and watch the film reels, then run back out. Very good at propaganda back at that time, kind of the internet of the day. And it came out in the Nuremberg trials that the Nazis staged that to launch World War II. Well, the globalists are using COVID-19 to launch the globalist takeover.
Now, this is a common tactic. go back, look at something that supposedly happened in Germany, make some claim that they used this propaganda, this is the way it worked, and then jump from there, boom. Now say it came out in these trials, that's where the information came out. Don't cite the information, don't give anyone a source where you can go verify information. Now, to be fair, if you watch Alex Jones's broadcast via video, and many times on the screen, they are showing something that supposedly supports the information he just said. Now, they do tend to do that. Now, a lot of times you have to kind of hit pause and go, wait, where is that coming from? And you have to then start a search trying to find it. But if you're listening to audio, which a lot of people do, okay, if it's on the screen, he doesn't state that it's on the screen, so I don't know. He says it came out in this trial. Well, okay, when did it come out in the trial? Well, do you have a date? Do you have a time? Do you have a source? Do you have where is the information? And then exactly what came out in the trial? Where it came out by whom? Was it confirmed? But he just throws out the claim. And then he goes from that. So basically, hey, they used propaganda and they used kind of a false flag situation, a fake something to be able to launch this. And the same thing is happening with COVID-19. It's being used. It's being used for control. It's being used to do this. And so this is a very common way and conspiratorial thinking that happens. Sadly, some people don't pick it up. But so this whole COVID-19 situation is being used. It's being taken. Now, you could argue there's always the possibility that any crisis is going to be used by someone, right? It's going to be used by politicians. I mean, people always use everything for their benefit and to gain power and to maintain positions of power. So there is obviously some truth to that. I think you'd be naive not to believe that. Okay, but where is he going? Let's listen.
And I got up this morning at 6 a.m., got a nice cup of coffee, sat down at the kitchen table, and opened up the iPad. And the first article I saw was a Daily Mail link on Infowars.com. And I went, well, there's no need to just surf around on Infowars. I'll just go to Drudge. He'll have it. No one over there. Sure enough, Drudge had it. And then I went and read the Chinese document the Chinese government admits is real. And it was like I'd had 7 or 8 cups of coffee in about 30 minutes. I only had that 1 cup of coffee, but I was lit. I was so awake, so on fire. My wife got up about 8 a.m. The kids were waking up. My son's moved out now. He's almost 18, but my 3 daughters got up. They're like, Dad, what are you doing? Because they could just see I was like this. And I said, guys, I've just got to figure out some way to go on air and make sure everybody realizes how important this is, because the listeners are the real power. And if Trump understands this, and if everybody understands this, we can defeat the entire New World Order right now instead of have them have their takeover, which is implantable microchips, forced inoculations, world government martial law. It's all being announced as the solution.
Now, hear all of that. We got the New World Order, and they're gonna start, putting chips in us, okay, and they're gonna forced inoculations, forced vaccines. They're gonna be taking over. New World Order. Now, I want to make sure you understand this is not new. I was hearing about this in the late 1980s and all through the 1990s. I've talked about it before. There was a Christian radio program called the Prophecy Club. Oh, man, all the time. New World Order is coming. They're going to start putting chips on all of us. Now, the forced vaccine thing wasn't as popular in the 1990s. The anti-vaccine crowd has grown tremendously over the last 10 years, 15 years. So now that's always a part of it. They're going to make you get a vaccine, and the vaccines are designed to kill you. Vaccines are not designed to stop the spread of disease. Vaccines are designed to kill you. You can't trust vaccines. Don't get a vaccine. They'll kill you. Now, don't start emailing me, all the anti-vaccine people who get mad at me. If there's anyone who has suffered as a result of a vaccine, it's me, okay? All right? I've suffered tremendously because of a vaccine totally changed my entire life. I got the anthrax vaccine. 72 hours later, they're calling a code blue at work. And now I have a seizure disorder where I'm constantly having seizure issues and neurological issues as a result of the vaccine. And it is proven that it was linked to that vaccine. But I also know that with all forms of medicine, there's always possible negative consequences. So, yeah, and I got no problem questioning any pharmaceutical claim. I got no problem questioning vaccines. I got no problem questioning them. Question, research, but make sure your research is from reputable sources and you're not just buying into lies and conspiracy theories. And at least acknowledge how vaccines have stopped the spread of serious diseases in the history of our world, where there were major problems and people being wiped out from a disease, and a vaccine comes along and basically eliminates the disease. Yeah, at least acknowledge some basic history there. So, but this is the way it goes. Now that was his opening segment. Threw out a lot of things. Went from Germany and basically had this whole COVID-19 New World Order. They're using it. They're coming for us. They're going to use this as an opportunity to put chips in all of us. They're going to use this to force vaccines on all of us. They're taking over. So this gets people greatly concerned. Let's see where else he goes.
China admits that they developed COVID-19 in the Wuhan lab. Why have they suddenly released this information? Through British intelligence, the Daily Mail. I'm going to tell you why when we come back.
Now, please note that claim. China admits that they created it in a lab. China admits. China admits. Here we go. So I'm gonna do a Google search. China admits coronavirus lab. All right. Here is the Daily Mail. I think here's the Daily Mail article that he has. Now this is interesting. When I put China admits coronavirus lab, I immediately get the National Review, coronavirus in China, origin in Wuhan lab, unproven. All right. So immediately I get articles saying this is garbage. From the scientist.com, theory that coronavirus escaped from a lab lacks evidence. Okay. So I'm getting all kinds of information here questioning what he is just saying, but the article that he's referencing is the Daily Mail, and I have it right here. Okay? The Daily Mail. All right, now this is the article he's going to be referring to. This was published on 11 April. It was updated on 12 April. So this is a couple of days old. I'm going to keep this here. We're going to definitely refer to it. We'll definitely refer to it and see if there's any truth to this idea and what this article actually says versus what Alex Jones is going to say that it says. Now, they're getting ready to go. He's coming out of the first segment. I think they have some commercials, and then they'll come back in to the second segment of their program. Well, I'm just going to allow the commercials to play. I don't want anyone to say I'm taking anything out of its context, and we will see. And I think this is the article this is the smoking gun. This is supposedly the evidence for this. This is the one he's referencing, and this is the one that supposedly proves it. We'll see. If it proves it, then great, but we'll have to see exactly what it proves, all right? So, and we'll have to see if there's been any evidence that counters this Daily Mail article. I don't know enough about the Daily Mail, how trustworthy they are. I don't know. I know they're cited a lot, so we'll jump right in and we'll see. But let's listen to Alex and see where he goes with this.
Is so big. China is now admitting that they developed it in the lab. But we'll tell you why. That's the key when we return.
Jake was in big trouble with the IRS. He owed how much?
$92
$10,000.
Ouch. The IRS left no room for Jake to breathe.
They put a lien on my house, took all the money out of my bank account, took money out of my paychecks. So it was a nightmare.
He needed help fast.
I figured that all these companies were the same until I called Federal Tax Management. You could just tell they knew what they were talking about. Right then and there, I felt like I had some hope.
Stop the liens, levies, and garnishments fast and qualify for one of several special IRS programs that could reduce or even eliminate your tax debt. So, how'd it go for Jake?
They did what they said they would do. They came through for me. I ended up saving an unbelievable amount. I was so jazzed. I was extremely happy.
If you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes, take Jake's advice.
Give Federal Tax Management a phone call. If they help me, they can help anybody.
Call the Federal Tax Management Hotline now. 800-503-8625. 800-503-8625. 800-503-8625.
The National Agency overseeing biological research, virology, genetic engineering in China, released last night a lengthy document to the Daily Mail. And in it, we're going to be reading directly from it here in a moment, it states that the Communist Chinese government, since 2012, has received a large group of grants from a certain group to develop weaponized, gain-of-function, common cold, or what we know as the coronavirus. Did you hear what I just said? The Communist Chinese on Saturday morning released to what is probably one of the biggest publications in the world, the Daily Mail, a document stating that they did indeed test with bats in the Wuhan Level 4 bioweapons lab coronaviruses that they took out of bats and injected into piglets. And when the piglets died from it, they ground up the piglets and fed it to other piglets. Now, that's just one of the studies. Now, why would the Communist Chinese release that information? Global bombshell. China admits to harvesting and testing COVID-19 like coronaviruses at Wuhan lab. They actually say COVID-19 in the document, but it's a whole host of them, hundreds they harvested. So when they told you it came from bats, partially that's true, but not out of the market. And you've seen U.S. Intelligence Committee and the Senate say that. You've seen top Indian laboratories come out and say, we've scanned the virus, it's man-made, it's been altered, it's been gene-edited.
Now, please note, I've got the Daily Mail article in front of me. I have it in front of me, all right? So here's the thing. At least he gives the source. And I mean, I'm going to be critical here, but I'm trying to be fair as well. Now, again, remember, I've tried to state this a number of times. I know I'm gone over an hour, but that's okay. This is important. I want to make sure we understand this. My argument is that from Christians, we have a responsibility of putting away lying, telling the truth, not bearing false witness, no misrepresentation, no slander, and valuing human life. Okay, those are some basic concepts. I don't expect the lost world, to have to even think about it from a biblical perspective. So I'm glad that he mentioned the Daily Mail article. I was able to find it. All right, I'm glad. I have it right here. Now, he just made claims that they have tested it and show that it came from a lab. Well, I've got article after article saying no. The people studying it saying it was not man-made. He just said that it was. Now, he's referencing the Daily Mail. Now, is the Daily Mail article going to verify what he just said? I don't know, because then he went to what Indian scientists are saying this. Okay, well, he doesn't give me the name of the Indian scientist or doesn't give me the name of that source. So this is the problem with this kind of thinking. He's got something here, and let me make it very clear. This Daily Mail article, there's some stuff here, and we should know about it. We should know about it. All right. And this is the kind of thing that the actual news media needs to be talking about in an in-depth way to remove all of the conspiratorial thinking. All right. But no, they won't address this. People like Alex will, people who say, I'm not going to listen to the mainstream media, tunes into Alex and are like, whoa, wait, this Daily Mail article. Now, how do we process this information? There's a lot here in this Daily Mail thing, and we're going to have to take the time to work through it. But he's going to use this and in some cases go beyond what the Daily Mail article actually says. That's where the problems begin. There is, I'll call it, somewhat of a smoking gun here, but we've got to be careful. Again, we want to tell the truth and we want to avoid false information. That's the biblical model. That's what we're striving for. But we're going to let him go. We're going to see how far he goes with this, and then we'll go back and work our way through. I'm not going to be able to get to Monday's clip of Alex Jones because we've already gone an hour, which was never my intention. But this is what happens when you're dealing with these issues, especially if you're trying to be fair, All right, so we'll let Alex continue, then we'll come back and work our way through this Daily Mail article as fast as we can. It's going to be hard to try to keep track of every claim he makes and see if we find him in the Daily Mail article. Some of it we will, and this is always the problem. Sometimes you can get partial truth, and then that partial truth is used to make a false claim, and that can be very deceptive. So let's see where he goes here.
RNA spliced, super advanced stuff. Stuff they think the Chi-Coms can't even do. So what did the author of the U.S. biological weapons law, who practices law at the Hague, represents presidents and prime ministers, and who helped write the world law on this, say here 9 weeks ago, who's joining us next hour, Dr. Francis Boyle? You know, the guy with 3 Harvard degrees. He said 9 weeks ago that it's a U.S.-made bioweapon given to the Chinese to be spliced with these airborne coronaviruses that the bats have to give it gain of function. And that while it's all being blamed on Trump, what's going to happen to the economy, he predicted that it's Obama and Hillary and Fauci who were over it at the NIH who allowed the programs from 2012 to 2017, because Obama funded into the year Trump was elected and got into office, that they allowed the transfer of this to the communist Chinese to develop this airborne bioweapon. And now, the communist Chinese come out and they release this document to the mail saying, yes, it turns out we lied to you. We said we weren't working with coronaviruses or bats in the laboratory, that it wasn't zoological. It is. But the U.S. government and Obama funded us. Now, this morning, the headline on that story, this is when you really know it's huge. This morning, the headline on that article from the Daily Mail read, Wuhan lab was performing coronavirus experiments on bats from the caves where the disease is believed to have originated, with a 3 million pound grant from the USA. That was the headline this morning. I have audio files I sent to all the writers and everyone saying, I predict prime projection, because the Daily Mail isn't in on it. They got MI6 working there, but the Chi-Coms gave them this, that they will later change it to make the focus the U.S., that this is a mistake in the article, that the main Chinese thrust of the document is to blame America, but the article didn't blame America, it blamed China, so I predict they will change the headline. That's in the audio files. Just happened 10 minutes ago. The show was starting. I said, oh, it hasn't started yet. Boom, right as we go live, they put the article up. They changed it as I foresaw, because I have learned how they operate. How did I know this? it's not about me bragging that I know how this stuff works now. It's a formula. The whole article demonizes America and says it's our fault and China deserves no blame. And the UN says it's a global phenomenon and don't blame China. And it goes on to say, anyways, the United States is to blame. They gave us the money to do it. This is a way of saying you better shut this down. You better stop blaming China or we're going to expose the deep state used us to develop illegal weapons. And I said the article headline doesn't blame us, but the article does, while admitting that they lied to the world and have this lab and that it was weaponized and they developed COVID-19. How huge is that? So they then changed the headline just now, as you just saw. I showed TV viewers on my phone the screenshot. Why'd I do it? Knew they were going to kill it. Now, there's 1,000 other data points. That's the problem with my show is I could just state what's going on. It'd be much easier. But I tend to just start, I'll show you this piece. I'll show you that piece. I need to show you 100 of the pieces. Literally, my brain's been on fire since this morning. 100 of the pieces. Because I've already studied each piece and interviewed all the real experts, and I know what's coming next. But let me explain something right now. War is coming. When Bill Maher got up Friday night and said, this is the Chinese virus, and it came out of their labs because of their bad practices with food, and if it was on purpose, war is going to start, and it may be on purpose. That's now the talking point, even in the left and the establishment, because they realize they've been caught. The Chinese are...
Okay, he's going so fast that it's almost impossible to try to deal with this. And this is how it works. I mean, he's throwing out so many concepts, so many ideas. I mean, he's just going crazy right there. And you would have to listen to all of this. I mean, you would have to have a notebook going, okay, wait, this claim, one claim after another claim after another claim. And he has been saying that war is coming. Now, we'll see. Now, sometimes he's right. But let's just stop for this. For the goal here, let's just go to the Daily Mail article, because this article, I'm telling you, this article is going to be cited on Christian radio. It's going to be cited everywhere. And so we need to at least know exactly what is in it. Because again, all we care about is truth. If Alex Jones is right, let me make this very clear. If Alex Jones is right, then we speak the truth. And we don't care who else gets offended. Right? If Alex Jones is wrong, we speak the truth. We don't care who gets offended. This is about truth. This is about truth. This is about, if there are conspiracy theories, we debunk the conspiracy theories. If he's right, then we verify that he is right. All we care about is truth, not an agenda. All right? And I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's the most far left, progressive, radical communist. If they're right, they're right. If it's the most conservative right-wing Republican, if they're right, they're right. I don't care about their label, their ideology. I care about truth. That's what we're looking for. So let's see what's actually in this article. Now, he kept saying the headline was changed, and he supposedly has images of it. I do know that the headline I have here seems to be different than what the one he was referring to. And this was updated on April the 12th. We do know that it was published on April the 11th. It was updated on April the 12th. They even state that it was updated. So they did make a change. Now, I don't know if that proves anything, but it did make a change. This is the headline now. Revealed. U.S. government gave $3.7 million grant to Wuhan lab at Center of Coronavirus Leak Scrutiny that was performing experiments on bats from the caves where the disease is believed to have originated. Whew, what a headline. Now, let's go through that again. U.S. government gave $3.7 million grant to Wuhan lab. All right, so the United States government gave $3.7 million grant to the Wuhan lab. Now, that deserves to be questioned. Why? And he was putting on Obama, Hillary, and all of these other people. When was this grant granted? When we would have to verify all of that. He placed it on Obama. I don't have a date here for when this grant was granted. All right, but okay. Now, please note please note how he stated things versus how the article states things. Government gave $3.7 million grant to Wuhan lab at Center of Coronavirus Leak Scrutiny. This is not acknowledging it did leak. It's not saying that they admit it. It's just they're saying that this lab is at the center of a coronavirus leak scrutiny that was performing experiments on bats from the caves where the disease is believed to have originated. So we don't have it as a bombshell quite the way he stated it. He stated it like this admits it. This admits it. Okay, this admits that research was going on. Now, is that a coincidence? All right. I would say this deserves to be questioned, right? Again, questions are okay. Questions are okay. But this is the kind of information you got to be careful throwing out there because you don't know when some of these claims are going to come back and be proven possibly to be false. There are already other articles out there probably contradicting some of this. So we would have to go and try to verify everything. But this Daily Mail article is the one that all the conspiracy sites are running to the Daily Mail article. So we have to make sure we're careful what it's claiming. So let's read that headline again. All right, make it very clear. The U.S. government gave $3.7 million grant to Wuhan lab. That's stated dogmatically. That's not stated like there's any questions about that. Government gave $3.7 million grant to Wuhan lab at center of coronavirus leak scrutiny. So this lab is a part of a leak scrutiny. In other words, there are people who are questioning it, wondering if that it leaked from there. That was performing experiments on bats from caves where the disease is believed to have originated. So now there's a belief. So we got one dogmatic statement and then other things that are clearly questionable. That's how we have to read this. Now, they give all these bullet statements. Here are the bullet statements. Number one, the U.S. National Institute of Health, a government agency, awarded a $3.7 million research grant to the Wuhan Institute of Virology. All right? So that seems to be a dogmatic. Number two, the lab is the center of several conspiracy theories that suggest it is the original source of the coronavirus outbreak. Stop right there. Alex didn't mention that, did he? The article itself even refers to some of these claims that it's a conspiracy theory. He didn't mention that, did he? No. He did not mention that at all. He's like, they admit it. This is proof. Now, let me read that again. The lab is the center of several conspiracy theories that suggest it is the original source of the coronavirus outbreak. They're not claiming that it is. They're saying they are just reporting the information they have in regards to this lab, which is the right thing to do, which should be done by every media outlet. But as a Christian, this is where you have to come along and go, wait a minute, that Daily Mail article, they refer to the idea that the original source of the coronavirus is this lab. They refer to it as conspiracy theory, that there are several conspiracy theories about this. See, that's important to be stated. Next, the Institute experimented on bats from the source of the coronavirus. All right, now that's important information. They were captured more than 1,000 miles away. All right. So the bats they captured were captured 1,000 miles away, I guess, from this lab. Sequencing of the COVID-19 genome has traced it to bats and the Wuhan caves. Now, this is very important. So they captured the bats 1,000 miles away in Wuhan. All right, so they captured them 1,000 miles away in Wuhan. A sequencing of the COVID-19 genome has traced its bats to the Wuhan caves. The U.S. government funded research on coronavirus transmission in the lab over the past decade. All right, so we've got a lot going on there. So just please note, they captured the bats 1,000 miles away. That's interesting that they did. That they probably went to an area where there were a lot of bats, I'm assuming. Sequencing of the COVID-19 genome has traced it to bats. So again, the sequencing of the genome traces it to bats. Now, remember, he said that they've proven it's man-made. Is it man-made? Did it come from bats? Or was this, is the claim I don't know. So this is where you have to doing a lot of questions here. Now, this is interesting. The U.S. government funded research on coronavirus transmission in the lab over the past decade. Now, here is what we find. The Chinese laboratory at the center of scrutiny over a potential coronavirus leak, has been using U.S. government money to carry out research on bats from the caves, which scientists believe are the original sources of the deadly outbreak. The Wuhan Institute of Virology undertook coronavirus experiments on mammals captured more than 1,000 miles away in Wuhan, which were funded by a $3.7 million grant from the U.S. government. Sequencing of the COVID-19 genome has traced it back to bats found in Wuhan. I think we have two different locations going here. Okay. Now this is okay. Let me make sure I get this right. I think we have two different locations in this article. The Yunnan or Wunan, maybe it's Wunan. It's Yunnan. So the bats were captured more than 1,000 miles away in Yunnan. Maybe pronounced Wunan. Yunnan. Sequencing of the COVID genome traced to bats in those caves in Wunan or Hunan. Yunnan. All right. So that's where the bats were captured, and that's where the sequencing has traced it to bats and caves located there. All right. Now, let me go back to this because this is very important. I want to make sure we have the right locations here. All right. Sequencing of the COVID-19 genome has traced it back to bats found in Yunnan, Yunnan, or Wunan, Yunnan, but was first thought to have transferred to humans at an animal market in Wuhan. So that I kept saying Wuhan because that's how I've all these places I've seen connected to Wuhan. So we have really two different locations. So the bats were captured in Yunnan. Right? Sequencing of the genome has traced it to bats found in those caves in Yunnan, Yunnan, but it was first thought to have transferred to humans at an animal market in Wuhan. So I guess this other place is 1,000 miles away from Wuhan. So there's a lot of things there to unpack. The revelation that the Wuhan Institute was experimenting on bats from the area, already known to be the source of COVID-19, and doing so with American money, has sparked further fears that the lab and not the market is the original outbreak source. Right? Now, those are fears. Remember, Alex is acting like this confirms it. No, this is just saying that there are fears. Lawmakers and pressure groups were quick to hit out at U.S. funding being provided for the dangerous and cruel animal experiments at the Wuhan Institute. And that is Wuhan there, right? So, I've got a map here where the Wuhan Institute is versus where that that seafood market is. Remember, this is supposedly all happened in a seafood market. There's a 20-mile, the lab is 20 miles away from the market. All right. And please note, remember, according to at least one source, and I've already done a recording on this and read the source and gave you the source, I think it was livescience.com, there is no proof that bats were even being sold in that market. And so they think it didn't come from bats, it came from something else. So there's a lot of conflicting reports. Remember what we said, I said at the beginning, that one of the problems right now is people don't know what to believe. There's so much information, people don't know what to believe. And just working through this Daily Mail article that Alex Jones is citing as proving all of this, where he's making it very dogmatic that they're claiming that it came from the lab, where we even have to try to work through here because we got these different locations. Okay, Yunnan, Wuhan, okay, 1,000 miles away, the lab. The market where it supposedly started, 20 miles away. We've got distance. We've got different locations. We've got bats. We got a lot of things going on here. And these are the kinds of things that make this always crazy when trying to verify what the truth is. All right, but let's continue. I'm trying to go as fast as I can. U.S. Congressman Matt Gaetz said, "I am disgusted to learn that for years, the U.S. government has been funding dangerous and cruel animal experiments at the Wuhan Institute, which may have contributed to the global spread of coronavirus and research at other labs in China that have virtually no oversight from U.S. authorities." On Saturday, Anthony Bellotti, President of the U.S. pressure group, White Coat Waste, condemned his government for spending tax dollars in China, adding animals infected with viruses or otherwise sickened and abused in Chinese labs reportedly may be sold to wet markets for consumption once experiments are done. Now, if that is true, then this adds a lot. If they were doing research on these bats and then those bats could be sold, well, you see how this could be a problem. The Wuhan Institute of Virology, the most advanced laboratory of its type on the Chinese mainland, is based 20 miles from the now infamous wildlife market that was thought to be the location of the original transfer of the virus from animals to humans. According to the documents obtained by the Mail on Sunday, scientists there experimented on bats as a part of a project funded by the U.S. National Institutes of Health, which continues to license the Wuhan laboratory to receive American money for experiments. The NH is the primary agency of the United States government responsible for biomedical and public health research. The Wuhan Institute lists them on their website as a partner, as well as several other American academic institutions. Other U.S. partners include the University of Alabama, the University of North Texas, Harvard University, and the National Wildlife Federation. As part of the NH research at the Institute, scientists grew a coronavirus in a lab and injected it in 3-day-old piglets. The news that COVID-19 bats were under research there means that a leak from the Wuhan laboratory can no longer be completely ruled out. All right, now that's important. It cannot be completely ruled out. It's not confirmed. It's not confirmed. Alex is trying to make it sound like this is all proven and confirmed. They're saying it cannot be completely ruled out. According to one's unverified claim, now here we go. Now we get into the unverified claims. According to one unverified claim, scientists at the Institute could have become infected after being sprayed with blood containing the virus and then passed it on to the local community. A second institute in the city, the Wuhan Center for Disease Control, which is barely 3 miles from the market, is also believed to have carried out experiments on animals such as bats to examine the transmission of coronaviruses. All right. So this lab that everyone's been talking about may not even be the right one. There's a different lab that's 3 miles away from the market. The Wuhan Institute, which keeps more than 1,500 strains of deadly viruses, specializes in the research of the most dangerous pathogens, in particular the viruses carried by bats. Chinese officials decided to build the institute after the country was ravaged by an outbreak of SARS in 2002 and 2003. SARS, another kind of coronavirus, killed 775 people and infected more than 8,000 people globally in an epidemic. Since an outbreak of the novel coronavirus emerged in the city in December, it has been the center of conspiracy theories which suggest that the bug originated there. Please note, even in the article, they talk about conspiracy theories. While scientists believe that the virus jumped to humans from wild animals sold at a food market in Wuhan, conspiracy theorists promote different assumptions. Some of them claim, now please note, now they're citing conspiracy theories. Some of them claim that the virus formerly known as SARS-CoV-2 could be a biological warfare weapon engineered there. Others suspect that it escaped from the lab. China has repeatedly denied the allegations. Now, of course, you would expect if they're responsible to deny the allegations, obviously. The deputy director of the institute told the press in February that she guaranteed with her own life that the outbreak was not related to the lab. She admits that when summoned back from a conference to investigate the new disease, she wondered at first if a coronavirus could have escaped from her unit. She has warned about the danger of epidemics from bat-borne viruses, but she says she did not expect such an outbreak in Wuhan in the center of China, since her study suggested subtropical areas in the south had the highest risk of such transmission to humans. She told the respected scientist journal Scientific America last month of her relief when having checked back through disposal records, none of the genome sequences matched their virus samples. So the genome sequences that people are doing on the virus, they don't match the samples from the lab. That really took a load off my mind. I had not slept for a week for days, she said. All right. Many international experts have also dismissed such theories. Professor of Medicine and International Health at Boston University School of Medicine and Public Health stressed that no release of viruses from a high-level lab, such as the one in Wuhan, has ever happened. He defended his peers in the Chinese city as he said the Wuhan lab is designed to the highest standards with redundant safety systems and the highest level of training. Many of its research faculty trained at similar laboratory in Galveston, so we know the Wuhan team is qualified as those in Texas. This means the assertion of a leak, rather than being highly likely, instead is highly unlikely. Last week, further doubt was cast on the animal market theory, however, after a doctor at the Wuhan hospital highlighted research showing that 13 of the first 41 patients diagnosed with the infection had not had any contact with the market. It seems clear that the seafood market is not the only origin of the virus. American biosecurity expert at Rutgers University said that while the evidence suggests COVID-19 was not created in one of the laboratories, it could easily have escaped from there while it was being analyzed. Another professor said he has seen evidence that scientists at the Center for Disease Control and the Institute of Virology study the viruses with only level 2 security rather than recommended level 4, which provides only minimal protections against the infection of lab workers. He added virus collection, culture isolation, or animal infection would pose a substantial risk of infection of a lab worker and from the lab worker then to the public. He concluded that the evidence left a basis to rule out that coronavirus is a lab construct, but not the basis to rule out a lab accident. Right? Now, please note, here we go. We have the idea is all the evidence says it wasn't created in a lab, but they were doing research and someone there could have then been infected and then taken it to the public. It could have escaped the lab that way. Now, that is far different than saying it was created in the lab as a bioweapon and then released on purpose so that the new world order can take over the whole world and that they could create vaccines to kill us all. You see how you may have something that is true and then they take that truth and create a narrative that the truth doesn't 100% support. That is how conspiracy theories always begin. All right. So please note all kinds of information in this article. And this is the information Alex Jones is not even mentioning. Results of the U.S. Fund research at the Wuhan Institute were published in November 2017 under the heading Discovery of a Rich Gene Pool of Bat SARS-Related Coronaviruses Provides New Insights into the Origin of SARS Coronavirus. The exercise was summarized as bats in a cave and again, I'm going to give you the name of the actual place where the bats came from, Yunnan. I'm sorry that I was pronouncing that as Wuhan, because clearly that's not Wuhan. Yunnan, China was captured and sampled for coronavirus. All sampling procedures were performed by veterinarians with approval from the Animal Ethics Committee of the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Bat samplings were conducted 10 times from April 2011 to October 2015. And so they go, this article continues on and on. See, where do we have a summary paragraph at the end? Yeah. So that's it. There's no more real complete information. I mean, you can go read the whole article. If you need the article, email me at newsif@yahoo.com, and I will send it to you. But so let's go through this. Alex Jones comes on the air. Hey, this is it. The Chinese government admits it was created in a lab. This was done as a bioweapon. And he's citing the Daily Mail article. He makes all kinds of claims about the Daily Mail article. Does he actually read it? Let's listen. Let's finish this segment from Alex and see if he does anything else with the article.
They're now blackmailing the left, who sent them this for a plan they had down another avenue. But when Trump beat them and beat the impeachment, a deep state group with China told them, go ahead and incubate it in your population, use it to suppress Taiwan, use it to suppress the uprisings, And we're going to then say, you're doing a great job through the UN, but when it hits America, we're then going to blame Trump and blame him for the economy and removing. Well, I didn't just say that today. I said that 9 weeks ago. I saw the path. I said, that's an enemy attack profile. The pieces we have fit to that, but we're not sure that's it until we see more happen. And then just as we broke down the battle path, it all laid in, and now every piece just laid in, total proof. Because in the last moments, as this comes out, what are they going to do? Well, China sees that it's tried to use this as a weapon against the U.S. Its collaborators have. Trump gets it. He's starting to point out it came from there. They know it's about to come out that it's man-made. We already know that from the institutes in Europe and India that scanned it. And so they're like, whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, we got it from you. It was in the Wuhan lab. Didn't come from the weird food grocery store where cats and snakes and everything else are at. But it's an accident. Stop it. That is the point we've gotten to now, because Trump can move the entire deep state globalist system and their allies, who he has in check right now, into checkmate. We already had them in check. I mean, victory is look, I see 1,000 levels into this, folks. Let me tell you.
There you have it. He uses the document. He uses the Daily Mail article, and there's some troubling things here. Yeah, why has America been funding it in China? Why has this been going over there? Now there could be reasons. Well, if they're going to be testing all these crazy experiments, let them do it over there and not here. But there's no oversight. Is it true that they can do an experiment on a bat and then sell it? Is that accurate? Now, please note, the article stated that there are multiple conspiracy theories. And they have all these experts saying, no, those conspiracy theories aren't right. It is possible. We cannot rule out that someone in the lab could have been infected and then taken it out of the lab. But there's nothing in that article that says it was created as a bioweapon to destroy us, and then they were going to release it and then ultimately use this to blame Trump. There's nothing in the article that even hints at that. There's something in the article saying, hey, $3.7 million from America is funding this. They were doing research on this kind of stuff. Yeah, they released a report trying to say, hey, we have a better idea of SARS and some of these coronaviruses. We have a better idea. They're trying to get a better understanding of how these things can spread. We want to get that information. But is it possible that someone in the lab took it out of the lab, they were infected, and it infected other people? There's nothing in the sequencing of COVID-19 that suggests it was man-made. That's constantly is the claim, that it was man-made, that it was man-made, that it was man-made. No, we don't have anything to verify that. What we have is this lab, and what we have is even this lab. There's the other lab that's closer to the food market. That was only, 3 miles away. That one seems to be the one that should be getting all of the attention. That's even closer. So please note how this works. We have an article. An article raises some very important questions. Even within the article, I think 3 times or 4 times, I'd have to go back and count, mention conspiracy theories are saying this. We don't have any evidence to support these theories. Please note, Alex completely leaves that out. He completely ignores any of that. Now, people listening to this are like, hey, there's a Daily Mail article that proves this. No, you got to go read the Daily Mail article for yourself. Now, it raises lots of important questions that people, that our government and that everyone around the world needs to question. We need to know exactly what happened in that laboratory. We need to know what precautions were taken, what precautions were not taken. We need all of their samples, and then we need to test it against the COVID-19 that is spreading and going, wait, this is the same. This seems to be where it came from. If it can be proven, prove it. Hold people responsible. Let the whole world know. We should embrace the questions. That is the good thing about conspiracy theories. They ask questions. But what did I say? Ask the questions, but you have to then back up those questions with answers with solid research and factual information. He took the Daily Mail article and made it sound like this proves everything. And listen, on Monday, they basically doubled down on this concept. Hey, this is the lab that did it, created as a bioweapon, released on purpose, doing this so that vaccines will become mandatory, and they're going to use the vaccines to reduce the population. Boom. And you're like, how did you get from that article to that theory? The article doesn't support your theory. If they would just stay with the article, if that's where Alex would just stay with that article and then start asking all of these questions and then start doing research on some of the issues brought up in what level of security did they have in the lab? What level? Like those are, okay, is it possible someone could have walked out infected? All right, is it? Has anyone, and this is something I would like to follow up on, has anyone in the lab had anyone in the lab since December been diagnosed with any of the symptoms of COVID-19? Has anyone who works with the lab died? Those are questions I would like asked. The article doesn't even go there. Has any of them been infected? Well, if not, well, then that begins to rule that out, right? These are questions we have to ask. So the article raises great questions, and everyone should be familiar with the Daily Mail. Now, remember, Alex talked about these piglets being grounded up. Okay, the article didn't say anything, at least now there may be something in the bottom there that I did not read, but everything I read, they talked about being injected in piglets, nothing about them being grounded up. So if that occurred, I mean, why didn't Alex just read the Daily Mail article? I did. Why didn't he just go through it? Line by line by line by line. And I even got a little confused there because I was thinking that they were referencing the area of Wuhan and they were referencing a different area. But we have they went 1,000 miles away to get these bats, bring them back. We have where the lab is. We have where the food market is. We've got a lot of geographical things to consider. And we have a lot of questions. But I want you just to see that as Christians, and one last thing, the Hamilton Corner, we aired and we spent 2 hours listening to the Hamilton Corner when he was talking about a lot of these things. And remember, he told everyone that this week he was going to provide information that proves that the virus came from a lab in China. Well, Monday he didn't on his program. He didn't address that. He talked about higher education being a Ponzi scheme. So I'm waiting for him to provide this evidence that proves it. You know what he's going to use? I bet you he does it today. I bet you he uses the Daily Mail article. And you know why that Daily Mail article has gotten so much traction? It was on the Drudge Report. Now, I don't blame the Drudge Report for posting their article. I have no problem with it. He should have posted it. Should have, right? Should have posted it. Everyone should read it. But please note how the article makes certain claims, and then people take those claims to go from here's the claim to absolute proof, bioweapon created by Chinese government or created by the Chinese to destroy us, to bring down Trump. And you're like, whoa. That article did not go that far. They did not go that far. And so this is why someone will come. Well, the problem is you got to read between the lines. You got to read what's not there to discover what really is there. Yeah. Or you could admit that the article doesn't support what you're claiming. Now, it raises questions. You see, I see when you try to be balanced here, you're going to get shot by people on both sides. Some people are going to say, you're entertaining too many of the conspiracy theories. You're the part of the problem. No, I'm not trying to. I'm trying to acknowledge what's going around, what's spreading. We have a problem here. We need to acknowledge it. The other side will say, oh, you don't believe the conspiracy enough. You're a part of it. So I'm not going to be able to win, but I want you to see and hear exactly what is happening. And Christians are getting caught up in the middle of all of this. And then there's there's so many different variations. Like they'll go with it. Well, they'll take part of this information and a new theory will merge. And then when that one theory is disproved, look, you can disprove one theory and 10 others will have been created before you can even disprove one. And then you're chasing every single conspiracy theory. And then nobody knows what to believe. Nobody knows the truth. And then chaos reigns. And in this particular case, wrong information, fraudulent information, false information, puts people's lives at risk. And this is very important. From a Christian, this is a moral issue. Put away lying, speak the truth, do not bear false witness, do not slander, and value human life. And I'll stop with that. All right. Whew, that was a lot of information. I hope something there was helpful. I do apologize, sincerely apologize. When I kept seeing Yunnan, I think that's the province. I think that's the Yunnan province. Let me see if we can clarify that. I think even Alex referred to it as Wuhan, I think. Give me 1 second. This will take 5 seconds to just verify this once and for all. This will be worth it. Yeah, it's a province. It's the province. That's what I thought. Okay. Now give me 1 second here. I'm going to turn up the volume. Yunnan. That's how they are pronouncing it. Yunnan. Okay. Yunnan province. So they went and got the bats from the Yunnan province, which I guess is 1,000 miles away from the Wuhan lab. All right. So the Yunnan province, that's where they went, which was 1,000 miles away. According to the Daily Mail, it seems like the way they're describing it is 1,000 miles away from the lab. That's where these caves. Now, so they took bats from there, brought them back to the lab, and then again, originally it was thought that that someone purchased a bat or something from a bat in that market that's 20 miles away from the Wuhan lab. All right, but now they're questioning that, and again, I've already read information that says they don't know of any bats being sold in that market, so that raises. Well, maybe it's a different animal. So there's now a lot of speculation of how it exactly originated. The lab, someone being infected with it in the lab and taking it out, that makes some kind of sense, or some kind of leak occurred. But you have a lab that is 3 miles away from the market, which nobody is mentioning. And I think, you know why I think no one's mentioning that other lab is because I don't know if that other lab was funded with American money. I think the one funded with $3.7 million of American money, that the reason all the conspiracy theories are running to that one is because you got the American link. But the other one was 3 miles away from the market. That's the one maybe everyone should be looking at. Maybe that's the one everyone should be looking at. But the Yunnan province, that's where the bats supposedly came from. 1,000 miles away, according to the Daily Mail article. So now we know exactly how to pronounce it, and now we know exactly what that was. I don't know why they don't refer to it the Yunnan province. The article doesn't mention that. So, and I think even Alex referred to it as Wuhan. So I think there's a little bit of confusion, and that's probably fair from Americans. I mean, I don't know the area, I don't know that region, so I'm just seeing names geographically. I don't know where to place it on a map. So you have to take the time to do a little research on that as well. So we clarified that. All right. I'll stop right there. We went way longer than I intended. This was not even what I wanted to do today, but it needed to be done. And it gives you just a little kind of an on-air idea of what to do. Alex mentions an article. I went and found the article. I read through the whole article, right? Wait, I was mispronouncing some names. I did some research on that to verify that. I tried to verify exactly where one is located in relation to another. Oh, wait, there's a second lab that's closer to the market. Okay, well, what about that? Well, that one doesn't appear to be getting $3.7 million from America. Well, maybe that's why no one's mentioning that lab. So I'm even questioning, and I'm questioning, and questioning is perfectly okay. Conspiracy theories raise questions. That's the value of them. The problem is you don't believe them. You take the questions and then research to try to find truth. If a theory brings up the questions, then you take the questions and you run and do the research, not to prove the theory, just to find out the facts. And again, I want you to see the game that was played. The Daily Mail, the Chinese government has admitted it. This is the smoking gun. This was created as a bioweapon. And you're like, okay, woo, wow, this article, I got to read this article. This article is it. And I read the article and I'm like, wait a minute, this article even acknowledges the conspiracy theories, stating some of the things you're stating as a conspiracy theory. The article is not proving your point. The article is proving something happened at that lab, something interesting. Why are we funding it? What is going on? It raises questions. And that is a good thing. That is a good thing. If people would just stay with that article, I think they could go in some interesting directions. And to be fair, some of the mainstream media will ignore that kind of information. The conspiracy theorists pick it up, and that's why the conspiracy theorists looks like they're finding truth that no one else is talking about. That is why mainstream media has to do a better job. In the meantime, though, guess where the responsibility ultimately lies? The listener, the viewer. You are responsible of processing information to determine what truth is. From the Christian perspective, you have a moral responsibility to not only discover it, to not only expose falsehood, but this is, I cannot stress this, this is very, 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 very important. Not only to expose it, not only to show it, but you've got a responsibility not to share lies, but to share truth. You have that. That is a moral responsibility. All right. I'll stop right there. Woo. Email me, newsif@yahoo.com, newsif@yahoo.com. All right, everyone have a great day. God bless.